a breath, step outside.
Welcome. We want to take this time to say Yate, hello, hola, wherever you're hailing in from in your language. Hello. In the beauty way, we'd like to take this time to acknowledge the traditional owners and ancestors of the tribal lands of Ogap, Oge, Owinge, also known as Santa Fe. We reside here. Thank you all for your blessings, ancestors and caretakers of these lands. Tonight, we are really excited to have our brother, Ricardo Caté of Santo Domingo, Pueblo. He is the most prominent Native American cartoonist working today. He also has many other talents as well. His immensely popular cartoon, Without Reservations, is published daily in the Santa Fe, New Mexican and Taos News, and explores the irony and poignant humor found in the Native American experience of living in the dominant culture. Caté is the only Native American cartoonist whose work is carried by a daily mainstream newspaper. Everyone, please welcome Ricardo Caté.
Hello. Hello. Hi.
Awesome. Well, welcome, Ricardo. We'd love to hear a little bit about yourself and some of the salient events that happened in your life to impact your walk today.
Okay. Well, I guess we were just talking about Standing Rock, being up there at Standing Rock. I think that to date has made the hugest impact on my artwork, and not necessarily my life, because I have 3 kids. They're grown, they're in their 20s, but as far as my work goes, being up at Standing Rock, I went up there on August the 25th is when I found out about what was going on up there. I was dropping off my youngest daughter. She was going to Fort Lewis College in Colorado. She was attending there as a freshman, and I took her up there, and she was unpacking her clothes at the dormitory, and I was going to take her out to dinner. And so while I was waiting for her to unpack, she gave me her laptop, and I didn't know what Facebook, I knew what Facebook was. I'd never really seen it, but I sat there for 2 hours looking through these feeds about Standing Rock and what was happening. And I was intrigued by the fact that the first, I guess the first suggestion was that the pipeline go a mile just north of the town of Bismarck. And the people of Bismarck, who lived in Bismarck, said no. And so they moved the pipeline 26 miles south, and it was going 1 mile north of Standing Rock Reservation. And all of a sudden it was okay to do that, but not, north of Bismarck, the town of Bismarck. And I was intrigued and also angry at that. And so I was thinking, well, this is my youngest child. The other 2 are working, and I just paid all my bills, just bought food, and I think I'm going to head up there. And out of curiosity, I went up there. There was this green light, I remember, right after Durango. I was going to head south, and if I turned right, I would have headed back to New Mexico. And if I turned left, I was going to, head up north towards Denver. And so I remember just when the thing turned green, the arrow, I cut in front of this car because it was like a last minute decision. I made a decision right there when the light turned, and of course they honked at me and waved, but I kept going, and the next day I wound up there, and on the way I picked up some supplies, and first couple of nights, I was just there meeting some of the people, the women who started it all. There was 4 of them, and got to hear their stories. And then I wanted to draw some cartoons of some of these people I was meeting. And so I drew a couple, and then there was hardly a signal from there. And I had heard that there was no signal at that place on Facebook before I went up there. And so I went up this little hill, it's just north of camp, and got there, and then all of a sudden I got like 2 or 3 bars. And so I took pictures of my drawings, my cartoon drawings, and then I not broadcast, but from there I was able to, send them on my Facebook page that my daughter had set up for me, and all of a sudden there was like 500-600 likes, and so from then on, that must have been August 29th, August 30th. I just started drawing everything that happened up there at camp. And so September 3rd, when they released the dogs on Labor Day weekend, it was a Saturday, I was there when the dogs attacked and when they attacked the water protectors, and all of a sudden my work was very important because I was drawing what I saw. And I think a lot of not a lot, but some of the things happening were there was a lot of misinformation. There was a lot of rumors. There was a lot of exaggeration going on. But if I drew what I saw, then there wasn't any of that. And so my work kind of became important in that a picture is worth 1,000 words. And so that's what I started doing, drawing things that happen daily. And so up there. And so that has been the biggest impact on my work to date. So I think the government is still kind of on my case, because every once in a while my phone does go off, and so they always say it's the CIM card or something, SIM card, SIM. And yeah, I can understand once, but 9 times, so it's okay. I don't mind if they keeping an eye on me and they get to see my drawing, so I'm okay with that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for answering the question about the salient impact of your life. You have many fans on tonight, and we really appreciate you drawing what you see, because that has been our ways historically to document our kind of literacy, which is on totem poles and in rocks, on stone, in wood, on canvas, and of course the oral stories, and never without the humor, always with the humor. So I'd like to ask you about your childhood, and this is a 2-part, your childhood as well as how did you get into writing comic strips? Like, where does that gift come from? Is it innate? Is it learned? Did somebody teach you? Did you study it?
Mm-hmm. I guess this was back when comic books were 10 cents, right? And so my parents would go buy groceries, and but they would also, when they came back, they would bring a big old stack of Archie comics, Hot Stuff, Little Lotta, those Harvey comics that my sisters liked, and then there, of course, the DC comics. Marvel, the only person who liked with Marvel at the time was Shazam, but most of them were the Batman and Spider-Man was with Marvel too. And then also, along with those comic books, there was always that monthly issue of Mad Magazine that my mom knew that I was the only one that liked it of all my siblings. I have 4. And so I thought, I could always read the other comic books later. And so I would grab the Mad Magazine, and me and my friend David would climb this apple tree out in my yard, and we would sit up there all day laughing, reading the Mad Magazine where Al Jaffe and Don Martin, Sergio Aragones, all those cartoonists that did Mad Magazine. They were our idols. And so what happened was in seventh grade, David and I, who were inseparable, we found ourselves in different classrooms. And so the first week or so, we didn't know what to do. And then I'm not sure who came up with the idea, either me or him or someone just did it. But one of us drew a cartoon for the other. And while we were exchanging classes, I can't remember, but I was reading something he drew or he was reading. And then we started exchanging on a daily basis stuff that we had drawn. And so I had a big old stack like this after about 6 months of school. And my dad was a painter. He painted houses and whatnot, and exterior and interior. And that's where he made the money. On the side, he made Indian jewelry that I sold up in Santa Fe as a child. And I like coming up to Santa Fe to sell because that's how I got to practice my English. And so anyway, he had this accident where he fell from 2 stories from the scaffolding that they use for painters. And he broke his back in 3 places, and he wound up in the hospital for about a year. And I remember trying to comfort my mom, who cried most nights. And I would try to, massage her back or her legs especially. And I'll sit there massaging her and try to comfort her as she cried. I tried to get her to watch the television, and then one night I was like massaging her leg, and then I thought, wait a second, maybe I'll show her one of my cartoons, right? And the stack I had, and so I went to my room and started at the bottom. And these are cartoons that David and I drew of stuff that was happening in our classrooms, respectively. And we drew the teachers, or the other students would say something, or we would go into this imaginary realm, and we just drew about everything and anything. And so I gave her that first sheet, and wow, she just started laughing. And I told her, there's more, let me get you another one. So each night I would get her 2 or 3 sheets, and she stopped crying. She started looking forward to these comics that David and I were drawing. And I told David, now we have an audience of 1. Instead of just us 2, we had an audience of 1. And he was like, okay, let's try to make it more funnier and whatnot. And so that's where the cartoons, my ability, they're not very well drawn. They never were, even back then. Even now, some people have said, oh, your characters this cartoon isn't drawn very well. And I'm like, I'm okay with that. I can take some criticism, even if it's, like that, because it's not about the drawing. It's about the message that I'm able to convey to my readership. And so, but basically that's how it all started.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so cool. So how do you negotiate between cultural and mainstream comedy and humor now that you have pretty much an international audience, and with social media, you're going to go all over the world and continue to. So I know there's like in Navajo culture, there's Navajo ways of joking, Pueblos, deaf culture, just like that, like I always wonder how comedians and comic people are able to negotiate that. Like, is there anything different you do than, say, when you were a kid, making the humor for your mom to feel better from her pain, to what you're doing now?
Fortunately, she had the same kind of humor I did, and so she got it. But then when I told David that we had an audience, we kind of decided, we can't be like using slang that the kids used back then, and we'd have to be careful, like that she could read stuff that she would understand as an adult. Mm-hmm. And so even then, we had tweaked our cartoons a little bit. And what I did when I first started with my cartoon is I knew that I did not want to draw a Native American cartoon. right from the get-go. I wanted to draw a great cartoon where the characters just happened to be native. And that's a huge, huge difference. Because I figured, if I went with the first, where I drew this native comic, and a lot of the jokes would be inside jokes.
Right.
Of course, my people, natives would get it, drawing about fry bread or scoden or stewdis and stuff like that. And a lot of those jokes that I've heard, growing up, even the bad ones, the really bad jokes, there was still that element that of being native, that where you had to be native to get it. And I didn't want to really go there. And so in 2004, when I first came out with my first comic, and by the way, from that 7th grade story I told you about, I just kept drawing through high school, college, even in the Marine Corps. I was in the Marines, and I got to submit a couple of cartoons to Stars and Stripes, drawing about military life and whatnot. And then, of course, college, I wound up on the school paper, and I went back to Fort Lewis College, and I came out with a cartoon called Fort Leisure. And so the neighboring tribe, the Southern Ute tribe, and that's the land that campus is on, they had a tribal newspaper, and they asked me if I could draw for their newspaper. And I said, okay. And then that was the first time they asked specifically for native characters. Before that, David and I were drawing ourselves mostly, and then and our teachers and our bus drivers and things that had to do with school. And so it was never mentioned what race they were. They were more or less generic. But here I was being asked in 2004 for the first time to make them native, and so I had to struggle with that for a couple of days, because how do you do that without making anyone angry, right?
Whew.
And so I did a bunch of sketches, and I did some sketches of people, guys with braids and whatnot. And then I drew the Hollywood version with the feather, with the loincloth, and the big nose. Well, the big nose had nothing to do with being native. That actually has to do with Andy Capp, who was my dad's favorite comic character. He loved Andy Capp because he would smoke and drink, stuff my dad did, and he would get in trouble with my mom, and so he could relate to Andy Capp. And so the big noses came to in honor of my dad. It has nothing to do with natives having big noses. It's just for my dad. Also, the fact that my characters don't have eyes like Andy Capp, same thing. But anyway, I set out to draw this. So I came up with the characters with the loincloth and all that. But I decided, a couple of days after thinking about it, and to make up for that, for making them, how else are you going to know they're native, right? And so to make up for that, and to this day, I've never done, they don't grunt. They don't say, like on Hollywood, they sound like this, because they don't speak English very well. But we do. I mean, I don't even have an accent. I had to work on that because the white kids used to tease me. Well, anyway, to make up for making my characters look like that, I decided that they were always going to be smarter than their dominant society counterparts.
Okay.
The chief is always going to get the upper hand of the general, who looks like Custer, and to this day, I've always made them pretty intelligent, and so I think it all evened out, and so yeah, that's I had to really think about it, and so when I started drawing this cartoon, like I said, I just wanted to make a great cartoon. I knew what was funny. I watched Comedy Central a lot, watched a lot of stand-up, and of course, the TV shows, Good Times, What's Happening, all those shows, the sitcoms.
Right.
Laughing, oh my gosh, Laughing was great. Ruth Buzzy and all those people. I know some of you guys are too young
I need
to
to.
remember those, but yeah, Anyway, that's what I based my cartoons on growing up.
Wow, that is so cool. As you were talking, I just thought about this one of your pieces that's in all of our homes, but one of them is the Mary Had a Little Lamb one. That's one of my favorite ones, obvious reasons. But we don't have to get into that right now. No, there's a little insight, huh? So there's so many questions that I want to ask you, but for cultural appropriation, can you explain to people what that means to you? Because that seems to be a buzzword that's going around for a lot of years now. That I like to ask different artists and musicians what that means to them, just so we can understand a little bit more from a Native perspective what is cultural appropriation, and also another thing is sovereignty, but maybe that'll be for the next time. So how can you talk about cultural appropriation and how that means to what that means to you?
Of course, just like every other Native, it makes me angry when you see the Pope in a headdress, what the Crees did with the Pope giving him that headdress, and then dressing up as natives or for Halloween and dressing up as natives because of the mascot and whatnot. It's just all wrong, and a lot of people that do that, the non-natives that do that, they always say, always, oh, we're just honoring, your culture. But I will guarantee you 100% that as they're putting on their makeup, as they're putting on the costume, or they're not even thinking about honoring us. They're thinking about how cool it would look for their friends, or maybe if I look like this, I'll get on TV, during this game, and the last thing on their mind is honoring us, and that's what makes me angry, because they use that, and it's never ever the case, because you can tell when someone respects you and honors you, and when they do that, it's just not there. And so I don't really think about that too much. I just go by my reaction to a lot of it, and then I start drawing right away. In fact, when I get home, I'm going to draw something about the Pope and his headdress. So you can look on Facebook in a couple hours and see what I come up with. A lot of this stuff kind of churns in my head for a while, and so I have to think about it. And because I'm busy with tribal duties this year, I don't have a whole lot of time to be drawing cartoons, because every week I have a deadline every Thursday, which is tomorrow, 6 cartoons for the next week. And then I try to do some cartoons on Facebook that have a little more bite to what I'm trying to convey. But a lot of the cartoons that I draw for the paper are like this, and they're really they're just set out to be funny, harmless, and it's usually about dogs, res dogs, or res life and whatnot. But when I draw for Facebook, like I said, they have a little more bite to it, and that's where I attack a lot of the stuff that has to do with cultural appropriation. I don't use a lot of words. I just like at Standing Rock, I use a lot of pictures, but when time permits, like around Halloween time, I'll come up with cartoons that people who read the New Mexican will be able to see as well, because everyone needs to. And I'm so glad this cartoon is so popular, and it's gaining universal, worldwide attention, because that's what we want. We want to teach people that, one, natives are funny, we're not all stoic, and we're very intelligent. And so grammar and spelling, very important for me, because there's people out there, looking for stuff. I thought they were intelligent. How come they misuse this word or misspell this word? So I'm very careful with grammar and spelling, because people look for this, for that stuff. Any excuse to make us not so intelligent, I guess, or not so funny. And sometimes people don't get my work. They don't understand my work. In fact, when my book first came out, or sometimes a cartoon will come out where I'll draw something for a friend or specifically for people from Santo Domingo or a specific tribe, I'll just sneak one in because I talked to that person and I'll tell them, maybe this other person's going through that. So I throw one in, and then non-natives come up to me and they say, I don't understand that cartoon on Tuesday. And then I just simply say, oh, it's okay. I don't understand the cartoons in the New Yorker. Because they're different, they're some of them aren't even funny. I'm like, I look at them, I'm like, I heard, they look for specific things, and I actually submitted some to the New Yorker 4 years ago. I went to their office, and I was escorted out of there 3 times before I was able to finally get my foot in it, because it was a Thursday, I remember, and they said, we only accept cartoons on Wednesday. And these tall Jamaican security guards kept meeting me halfway, this huge room, turning me back, and finally the 3rd time I said, look, I'm Native American, and this is my only day in New York, and I've been a cartoonist for 12 years, and I want to submit these cartoons. It's very important, just like you guys, maybe when you first got your job here, how important that was. Well, this is me. I'm you, and I just want this chance. I just want a phone call. And they said, oh, phone call. I said, yeah. So I called someone upstairs. They came down, and I submitted like 12 cartoons. However, I got an email back from this new editor. She's a female. Before that, I had met Robert Mankoff in 2005, and I was hoping he would still be the editor, but now it's a different editor. Anyway, she sent the cartoons back, and she sent me an email and said the cartoons were too racy. So I have to resubmit or something less racy. I don't know what that means, but I will do that in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, interesting. That it sounds like you're able to use the humor as an education tool, and I would think that is probably one of the most challenging way to educate all peoples about specific subjects, because humor's always kind of almost like a gentle nudge, a little poking and prodding, and come on, get with it. But with the intelligence added to that humor, it's actually educational, but in a funny way. And I think that really is got to be an innate gift. And of course, some learning and experience along the way, watching other role models, because we had, Charlie Hill, who did a great monologue about the monosyllabic dialect, the Tonto and the Lone Ranger and all those guys. So the next question I have for you is for all youth, and I always say all others because we love our youth and we prop them up, we encourage them, and we push them forward, but it's never too late. So for all youth and elders and everybody in between, do you have any words of wisdom if people want to get into this field that I imagine a lot of people are a little bit like, it's too hard? Do you have anything to say about that?
No, I'm just kidding.
See?
Actually, I think when I talk to the young kids when I visit schools and stuff, they always ask, what about the stuff I want to do, and how do I know that's what I want to do? And I always tell them, and it's very, I don't want to say simple because maybe it's not that simple for others, but do it. My words are just do what you love. That's it. Do what you love, whether it's dancing, singing, drawing, gluing stuff together, collecting this or that, or reading comic books and wanting to be a cartoonist. And if you love what you do, then everything else, and if you're very passionate about what you do, that you love to do, everything seems to fall in place. And I know everybody knows those words. If there's a will, there's a way. and those, I think that's what I'm trying to say. If there's a will, if you're willing to sacrifice yourself and be able to, you know, put a lot of time and effort and practice into it, you know, yeah, you got to do that because, you know, think of the NBA when they first come out and they're warming up. What's the first shot that they practice? It's the layup. They come in and they do layups. Easiest shot in the world. You just jump and you lay it in. Yet these professionals do that when they first come out. And a lot of the high school teams, junior high teams, that's how they start out with is this layup. And you have to go, you know, learn the basics of whatever it is you do, just like with the NBA. Even Michael Jordan, okay, greatest of all time, he did layups at the very beginning. And so, yeah, just do what you love and practice. And then everything just falls into place, as far as I know. And my kids, I raised them the same way. I didn't direct them to go this way or that way. Only one of them wanted to go to college. The other two didn't. They did their own thing. And oh my gosh, they're the happiest kids in the world. I mean, they're doing what they love. I don't, you know, push them this way or that. All I did was, you know, have them do their best, no matter what. Just do your best, and time will take care of itself. I would tell them. And yeah, as a parent, that's exactly what I told my kids, and that's what I would tell youth who are listening to anything that I talk about now. So,
Thank you very much for that. The next question that I have for you is about inspiration. Where do you get your inspiration, or is it just because I know different artists that have made it? What does made it really mean, right? Is it a destination or is it a journey? But what if, like, you go into a slump and don't feel like doing nothing, but yet you got the New Mexicans waiting for your funnies to come through? How do you negotiate that?
oh wow. Well, first of all, I lucked out. Going back to the first one, doing what you love. I lucked out, and I became a 7th, 8th grade social studies teacher. I always wanted to be a teacher, and I always wanted to be a cartoonist. Back when I didn't know how it was going to happen, I just knew I was going to make it happen. And so, as far as inspiration goes, oh my gosh, the first time I drew, it's like a transition. The first time I drew was simply because, oh my gosh, I'm finally going to do this cartoon. People are going to read it in the paper. Just be in the paper. That first couple of years was the greatest thing of all. And so after that, then I found out that I had fans, a large number of fans. So a couple of years after that, I was drawing for the fans, and then Standing Rock happened, and now I had a purpose, and so which was very important that I was this person that was doing these simple drawings, but the pictures they spoke a lot. After Standing Rock, about a year later, I started meeting the people here in Santa Fe that would come up to me. I have a hard time talking about this, but they would come up to me like the Indian market a couple of years ago. I went up to on stage it was set up in downtown in the plaza. I can't remember what I did. Oh, I was doing some stand-up. And I came back down, and one of the ladies recognized me. She was with her walker, and she kind of walked over towards me. And I had some people standing there wanting me to sign my book and stuff. But I saw her coming up, and so I turned towards her, gave her my attention. And then she goes, introduced herself, and then she said, I have my son just passed away last year. And he had this collection of your stuff, and she said it was in this big old like, you know, the little butter like containers, like where you put the butter stick of butter and then the glass thing. Well, she said it was a bigger thing like that, and she said her son collected every cartoon since 2014, I believe. And he had them all clipped as far according to year and stuff. And so when he passed away, they had found it under his bed. And when he passed away, they put that thing at his tombstone. And I couldn't believe, as she was telling me this, because just before that, another lady and her husband had bought 38 paintings from me, all the same size, the 8x10s, and they would always come for 4 years. They would come and buy from me. And the last time the husband came and picked them up because they were packing, they were moving to Wisconsin or somewhere. And she said, the husband thanked me, and he says, "These are the last 3 paintings we're moving." And so I guess what happened was her wife was on medication, and she was taking like 28 things of medication for her depression. And what they did was they put my paintings, 38 paintings around the house. And then she was down to just two things of medication. And so those stories like that is what inspires me now, because this is no longer just a cartoon. This is now something that people are really looking forward to, looking up to. And it just boggles my mind sometimes that this is happening. And so that's my inspiration.
Oh man, that's so beautiful. Thank you very much. Is there something I haven't asked you that you would like for me to ask you, or something you would like to share with us before we open it up to a quick break and then the audience to come in and talk to you?
Actually, I think when the audience starts asking questions, they come up with some really good ones. And so I'm going to save that for that, because a lot of times I found when I do these Zoom things, sometimes there's not enough time to answer those questions from the audience. So
thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to leave it to them.
So the last question I have before we move on to the next part of our show is, our theme is thriving in purpose, and this has all been a combination of spontaneity and development for this show throughout COVID and its hardest core, pure isolation, depression period, to coming out, to coming back into masks, to no masks. What is your definition of thriving in purpose?
I guess to me, it was it's just seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And I've always been very optimistic about life, whether it be raising my kids or, going through Marine Corps boot camp, where there was a lot of racism. My 4 white drill instructors tried to get me to quit, and they had done some outlandish things to me, but I wasn't about to quit.
Right on.
Instead of having me quit, I turned out, and it's in my book, I wound up being the most fit Marine of all 9 platoons that graduated that day on December 14th, 1985. I was the most fit Marine. And they gave me this general pinned on this little medal for me. And I had to march all the way down there. And the best part was my parents were there. And so when we went outside to parade, after that, we threw up our caps or covers. And me and my friend Nick from Montana were just standing there trying to think of, we're making plans to go to Disneyland. And then his eyes got big, and here come our 4 drill instructors, the one that tried to get me to quit. Mm-hmm. And they came up to me and they said, "Congratulations." And we were like still saluting them. And they're like, "Don't salute us, you're Marines now." Oh, okay. "Yes, sir." "And don't call us sir." "Yes, Sergeant." And so they asked me, "Where are your parents?" And they're coming through. And like I said, my dad had broken his back in 3 places. So he's walking over, and he's all hunched over. His stature was really short, but his personality was like 20 feet tall. Anyway, they were coming up, and my mom was behind them, and they turned to them, and the senior drill instructor said, "We want to congratulate you in raising a very fine son." And they all saluted them, and then they did an about face and marched out of there.
Wow.
And I thought, oh my gosh, that's like, that was a defining moment for me, because, here, these guys, I knew they hated me because I was native. I was the only native in the platoon, and they didn't want me there. And here they came to salute my parents. And so I like to think that, wow, for people's minds that I changed or inspired. And so, yeah, that's what that means to me. So,
Wow.
I have the capability of doing that through my comics now, cartoon. And so there you go.
Thank you so much, and I want to commend you. Indigenous Ways commends all our artists and presenters that make the creation and make the living from it to support themselves and their families through their art. And we're going to continue to look forward to your cartoons and all of that. And we want to thank you also for serving the country. Thank you for your service. We have a Vietnam veteran here tonight, my stepdad, Harry. Hey, Harry, how's it going? Mom, thanks for joining us tonight from Chinle, Arizona. So you got a fellow military guy on with you tonight, and he is native, full blood. Anyways, I'm going to pass it over to, thank you so much. You're such a rock star to us. Humor is the best medicine in Indian country. So yeah, thank you very much. I'm going to pass it over to Elena now. Thank you.
Great, big shout out, and thank you so much, Ricardo, not only blessing us, but blessing everyone, whether they're watching live here in Zoom, through our social media platforms, or watching the recording. You are an inspiration, and just thinking of your cartoons always gives me a smile. So thank you so much in being here. I'm just going to do a quick commercial break. We're going to bring everyone in very soon where you can speak or ask Ricardo. If you're in social media, you might want to type questions. We'll bring them through. Or if you're in Zoom a little bit shy, you can put questions or comments in the chat box, and we'll address Ricardo with those that you have. Anyway, a lot of you know from this platform here that we started in April 2020. We went on to do the Indigenous Ways Festival. Just last week we had our third, which was July. We've got two more to do, August and September, which is the third Wednesday. These are just little snippets of what happened. We had here in Santa Fe, New Mexico, down at the Rail Yard Park, at the performance green. We had a lot of people come in, which was great. The first hour was reserved for workshops and activities, get the community back engaged and socializing, speaking, doing hands-on stuff. And then we had our main events, which was a lot of fun. So please reserve August the 17th. Which is our next one, same place, same channel. You can go to our website, IndigenousWays.org. If you're not in Santa Fe, or if you want to feel comfortable, because we're also beaming this out live. So even though it's from 4 to 7, our hybrid will be from 5 to 7 from the main stage. We're pretty excited because we have a slew of things happening, including we've got the Pueblo of Pewaukee youth hoop dancers who will be with us doing demonstrations. Our main artist is the legendary Keith Sikola, who will be blessing us, as well as this phenomenal woman who has got an amazing set of pipes. Her name is Sage Bond. Everyone will be doing workshops as well from that 4 to 5. We've got healing. We've got Dennis Long, this beautiful deaf Navajo weaver, traditional weaver. He will be coming in from Arizona and doing demonstration of traditional Navajo weaving, as well as Tasha's auntie, Emma Dixon. I mean, it's a full-on thing because this is pre-Indian market that we will be going into. So if you can't join us in person, please register online, IndigenousWays.org, and come and join us in the hybrid section. In our next wisdom circle, so same place, same channel, is the beautiful Ariana Lee. She'll be sharing with us in this same channel, August, the last Wednesday of August. So please be sure that you join us. And also, if you wanted to recapture what because there were so many gems that the beautiful Ricardo Caté shared with us. You can see his archived event in the next couple of days, IndigenousWays.org. There you can see over 175 Native American, Indigenous, LGBTQIA, deaf and hard of presenters that we've had in this format since we started April 2020. So we're very, very appreciative of that. Now, this is possible because of our sponsors. So big shout out to the National Endowments of the Arts, the City of Santa Fe Arts and Culture Department, the New Mexico Humanities Council, the National Endowments of the Arts. All of our events right from the get-go have had ASL interpreters, and they're free simply because access to everyone. If you're beaming in on our social media, please be sure to like our page. If you want to know what else is happening, go to our website, scroll down to the bottom and subscribe to our beautiful newsletter. And then if you're able to give, we have our donation page, which is also available at our website. So please be sure to kick in to that. We want to see you all there. But other than that, if you are on a video and you want to come in, now's the time to flick on your beautiful video so we can see you. Have a beautiful corridor with the one and only Ricardo. And if you're in our social media, send a little chat and we will certainly share that as well. But thank you so much.
All right, what about our beautiful Navajo sister, Arletta from Luca Chukai? Arletta and Rodney. Hi, Arletta. Hi, Arletta. This is my best friend, you guys. She taught me sign language when I was 11 years old. What's up, Arletta? Arletta's saying hi to everybody.
While Tasha's sorting that out, I just want to go into the chat. We've got from Christine. She says, thank you for sharing your story and wisdom. Such a gift to learn from you. Thank you, Christine.
Awesome. All right, Amber. What's up, Amber? Where is Amber? Oh, okay. Why can't we hear anybody? This is weird.
There? Did that work?
Okay, yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Hi. We'll try.
Hi. Ricardo, thank you so much. It was wonderful to get all of that background and especially the stories about Standing Rock. It changed a lot of people's lives in a lot of ways. And I was turned on to your work by one of my students from Zia Pueblo, who I gave them an assignment to do this PowerPoint presentation or no, smartboard presentation on one of their heroes, someone from New Mexico. And he presented on you. And that's how I first learned about you. And since then, it's been a pleasure to see you in the newspaper all the time. So really appreciate your contributions and your commentary and the gentleness that you do it with. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
Right on. Thanks so much for that, Amber. And Amber's been really instrumental with our Indigenous Ways Festival and coordinating all those vendors. So thanks, it's great to see you. I'm going to go over to our social media. This is from Amy Lafferty. She says, courageous, thought-provoking. I loved your cartoons for years. Now I see you and absolutely respect you.
Yay. Love you, Amy. You are got a nice little humor bone too. And did you want to respond to that, Mr. Caté?
No, thank you very much, Amber. I really, I appreciate it. And like I said, this feedback I'm getting from doing the cartoons is it's unbelievable. And people just come up to me just out of nowhere when I'm eating in Santa Fe, or I was even on my way to Denver a few months ago when I was doing stand up in Denver. My friends and I were up there, And we decided to pull over a Walmart in Pueblo, Colorado. I was walking through the aisles looking for a canvas and some paints, and this lady was following me around. And this was during COVID, and she finally came up to me because she saw my mask that had the chief on it. And she asked me, "Are you Ricardo Caté?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like all excited. And so I told my friends that I was recognized in Pueblo, Colorado at a Walmart. And so this never gets old. It's really fun, especially when my kids are with me, when people come up to me, and I appreciate when that happens. And so it just reminds me on a daily basis what I'm doing here and the purpose that I talked about. So thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much for that. And let's go to Carla M., Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Hi, everybody. Oh, Mr. Caté, I loved your presentation. And I have a friend that teaches Indigenous kids here in Albuquerque. And she said, you got to see this guy on Facebook. He is so great. And he's like a hero to all my kids. And I looked you up, and I got some of, I started seeing some of your work, and oh my gosh, it was just, it's incredible. And I just feel so honored really to be here and to be able to hear you speak today, and what you've been through, like with your military and gosh, your dad's accident and everything. I really appreciate being able to hear you today. So just know that you are a hero for so many kids. It's wonderful. I love it. Thank you.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, again, I just the kids are just a big part of why I do this, and and my Facebook, unlike a lot of Facebook pages, mine is public because I'm careful about what I post. There's no drama or any of that stuff. I try to do a lot of insightful, informative, intelligent posts about a lot of stuff that has to do with Native issues, but a lot of what's going on in today's world. And so yeah, my page is public, knowing that I do have students, formal students that I have taught that go on there, and I want to show them what Facebook could really be like. It could be a great and wonderful thing, and that's how I use it. And it's also the business end of my what I do. That's how people get a hold of me, and so Facebook is just great if used in the right in the right way. And so and then I have my daughter Amber. You may have seen a lot of the TikTok stuff that she posts. She's a huge TikTok contributor, and every once in a while she'll say, "Dad, can you say this?" And because I want to put you on TikTok. And well, as a dad, you try to do whatever you can for your kids. And even that picture that came with at the beginning of my talk, I had that little mustache, or the little thingy here, the little goatee or whatever. That's an eyelash, because my youngest daughter sells eyelashes and she's always leaving them around. And so just one Facebook post, I just put one here, and then even when she kicked off her eyelash thingy about a year and a half ago, I said yes when she asked if she could put her eyelashes on me. And there's a video of pictures of me, and my friends, my guy friends, couldn't believe that I had done that, but everybody else were like, "Oh man, you're the greatest dad in the world." And so yeah, go to Facebook if you want to. There's some really good stuff on my Facebook page.
And that
Awesome.
Facebook page is Kewa Kata, K-E.
No, it's just Ricardo Caté.
Oh, Ricardo.
Okay.
Okay, good. Thank
And
you.
I want to go to Jean Pittman. Jean's got a question. Thank you. This is terrific. I'm so happy to be here. Have been a huge fan for years. Do you lecture, tour, teach, or do you Do you do comic cons? Any new books coming out, graphic novels? And Jean is here right now. Jean, would you like to talk?
I'm just a huge fan, have been for years. I'm just so thrilled to be here. I kind of accidentally bumped into this, and I just am kind of a comics scholar, actually, and an educator. And I just know that lots of people collect comics and care about comics. So if you could just share a little bit about your teaching and your schedule, or, do you do tours and lectures and things like that? Do you do Comic Cons?
Yeah, I just came back. Actually, I came back from Comic-Con back in February. No, before this year. I think it was November. I was at San Diego Comic-Con, and I was supposed to be just this past Friday, and it's funny you mentioned it. I was supposed to share the stage with Robert Downey Jr. this past Friday in San Diego, but I couldn't go because of my tribal duties. I had to cancel everything. And then I was supposed to go this November to the one in Australia. Can't go there. I have to wait till the end of the year, starting in January, to go out and speak at certain things. And so, yeah, I MC, I do talks. I would love to do a TED Talk sometime. I do stand-up comedy. I have a few things scheduled this month because those only take, like 15 to 30 minutes. And so I'm able to make a lot of appearances, and they're usually at night. So it's pretty safe to schedule those, knowing that I can make those. However, I have to wait till after January, after I'm done with my tribal duties to do any of that other stuff. But I love doing that. I love talking in front of kids because I actually spoke twice. Once at Santa Fe Indian School here in Santa Fe, and then in Bernalillo High School when my kids were still in school. And each of those places, the from 9th to 12th grade, it was an audience of 350 plus kids, right? Age 15 to 18, and I was able to captivate their attention for 45 minutes. Nobody fidgeted. They sat there and listened to everything I said, because I have a lot of stories. I use a lot of humor, a lot of words of wisdom. And so I think they're my favorite audience, the teenage kids that I talk to, because they get it. And then when I'm sitting there selling my stuff at Indian Market, little kids, 6, 7, 8-year-olds, they come up and they read my cartoons, and they're sitting there, they're standing there reading my stuff, and it's really cool. They get it as well. And so not just my cartoon doesn't just span the cultural realm, but also age-wise, it's just everybody gets it. And so I don't know how it happened. It was just, but this cartoon has turned into something like really, really cool. It's taken on a life of its own. In fact, I was telling my friend the other day that sometimes I wake up and the first thing on my mind, I go, I wonder what the chief is going to say today. Then I remind myself, wait a second, I'm the chief. And I tell him what to say, but no, sometimes, he says things that I probably would not be able to say, or I don't know. It's very strange that he has taken on a life of his own. And so, yeah, I'm in a really weird place right now with my characters. So.
That's so beautiful. Sounds like you definitely found your calling there. Oh my gosh. So I'm sorry, everyone. We're at the top of the hour, so we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. And I just want to thank everyone for joining in tonight, and everyone in the future that's going to be joining and watching on our website archives. Hi, and thank you for joining that too. I want to shout out to the Zoom social media live audience out there, Facebook and otherwise. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching the recording here. And always so much gratitude to our true true, beautiful ASL interpreters. Thank you very much, and everybody. This is Zoel and Mariah. Mariah just got nationally certified today to be a certified interpreter. She's a New Mexican. Beautiful. Congratulations. It's not an easy feat. We will see you all Wednesday, August 17th at the Indigenous Ways Festival on this Zoom, 5 to 7, and live it's going to be 4 to 7, so you can be here live, you can be here on Zoom. We don't want you to miss out on our Indigenous Ways Festival down at the Santa Fe Rail Yard Park. All the cultures come together. The bridges are all formed right there on Pueblo land. We love it. Rain, snow, sunshine. Bring your own chair. Bring an umbrella if you want to shade yourself from the sun or the rain. Come, be there. Love you guys. Thank you. Let's give it up for Ricardo Caté.
Touch the earth.